This is Miles Offit. Today, we're talking about Wolves.
Wolves.
Shout out to Dylan. We're gonna talk about Wolves.
Hey, Wood, let me hold that beat.
All right, Wolves finished last season in 10th place, 15, 6, and 17. They got a -5 goal differential. They only scored 38 goals. They only gave up 43, Michael. Home record 7-3-9, 24 points. Away record 8-3-8, 27 points. Pretty consistent on both ends. The biggest issue for Wolves, Michael, is how they finished winless in their last 7 Premier League games, 0-2-5. They were in 8th. They slid all the way down to 10th. Those podcasts with Dylan at the end of the year were really, really tough.
Yes.
They got a lot going for them, though. It's a really, really good team if you can only give up 43 goals in a season. So let's go through some of their strengths.
Okay. Some of their strengths, I thought you were going to say they got a lot going for them currently, like in this moment, in which case I would say they do not. But
let's get to that later.
They have a good core. Their defense is really good. They have Kilman, They have Bali, Cody at center back. They're all solid options for Wolves. Ait-Nouri and Semedo are great wingback options. They only play a two-man midfield most of the time. So they have a lot of talent in those two positions. They don't have to have like many players or whatever. Like it's not like a 3 or 4 person midfield. Moutinho and Neves, those are the two people I'm talking about. Very solid options. Little double pivot, defensive mid, attacking mid, midfielder players. And then they had the best goalkeeper in the Premier League last year, in Jose Sa. Pretty much any metric except for clean sheets, which again is more of a defensive stat than a goalkeeper stat, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Jose Sa was at the top. Best save, like most saves, most save percentage, highest save percentage. And then he just had some games that were just outrageously good, kept them in the game. He is the reason that they're in 10th place, really. I mean, if you want to be honest. So he was probably the one shining, the jewel in the crown, if you would say, of last year.
Definitely player of the year style material. I do remember for long stretches of the podcast, we would joke, us being City and Liverpool fans, like, you know, we have the second and third best defense in the Premier League. Wolves actually has the best one. Yeah. Sa is unreal, is incredible. He came, I don't want to say he came out of nowhere because maybe some fans knew of him, but I do remember we were talking about, like, all right, you lost, I think it was Patricio, right? Before that. And we're kind of asking Dylan, we're like, you know, where's this goalkeeper coming from? Obviously, Portugal. Defense was great. They had obvious weaknesses and ones that we can point out pretty directly. I think I wrote down abysmal on offense. I want to switch this up. I actually think the correct term is anemic. Unable to score 38 goals in the entirety of the Premier League season. The only teams that scored less than them all got relegated. So that even shines a bigger light on that defense, on how vital it was and how critical of a role it played. And then it's a weakness for sure. It's something that they can't really do anything about, I guess. But that midfield gets injured way too much. I feel like Neves and Moutinho are always out or always nursing something, not getting to start as many games as you would like. Two players who are, you know, pretty skillful and like they need to depend on in that midfield, especially because I think eventually we're going to get to the front three. Mm-hmm. For them being injured, it just derails the season for them for sure. And then one thing that we didn't have written down, but I think we should dive into this on the weaknesses, there is no depth in their front line.
No.
If Jimenez is having, I don't want to say off because it's been kind of off the whole time. If he's not having a great game, you don't really need to worry about them scoring. I think gone are the days where Adama would bust up the side and have an impact on at least one goal a game.
Right.
I'm also, again, a City fan, so that really only happened to me. But, you know, that offensive firepower just isn't there. Daniel Podence, nice player, decent player to have. Neto, good player. But once you get past those guys, who are we relying on and who's actually going to step up and do anything?
Right, and Neto, I actually don't. I know I wrote this part down. I'm not sure Neves is always hurt. I think I was thinking of Neto is always hurt. I think he's just coming off of an injury, so he actually might be a player that when you're comparing last season to this coming season, you're actually you're kind of getting somebody because you didn't have him so much last year. But even so, you got two guys in the midfield that are doing all the work. They're going to need some sort of depth, and they don't really have a ton of depth there, in my opinion, at least.
No. Yeah, I think that's where it wouldn't have mattered if we got the people that got injured right or not. If one person on this team, if one person on this team, I mean, they can maybe lose some people on the back line, and they're going to be okay. Mm-hmm. Anyone in an attacking position, a midfield position, if you lose any of those people for a long amount of time, that's totally going to screw this team up. It is. They're already, in my opinion, not that good up there.
Yeah.
If you get to the next level of people, it's even less. So, all right, weakness is done, strength's done. Michael, where are they looking to buy, or where should they be looking to buy?
I know you are going to give us the option for this one, but for the love of God, buy a striker to back up Jimenez. The guy got a fractured his skull. I mean, he's vulnerable at this point. You never know, in his situation. Fabio Silva.
He's a warrior, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Fabio Silva is on loan now. Good. He is not a Premier League striker. He's only 19 or whatever, so not a knock on him. He's just not ready for it. I'm not sold on Huang. I know he's a little bit of a cult guy there and stuff like that, but I don't think he performs anywhere near what needs to be done. Traore, again, Dylan loves hating on Traore. I think with good reason. He doesn't really, produce that much.
I thought you were literally about to say Dylan loves Traore, and I was like,
no.
Were you on any of the podcasts last year?
No, he does not love Traore.
Yeah.
They need a backup right back and center back, mostly just a right back because Smeto's also regularly hurt. They need someone to eventually take the place of Matinho. I don't think that's a pressing need right now. And just some general attacking options. They need some flair. They need something offensively because they were, I would say, apart from maybe Norwich and Watford was kind of fun to watch sometimes. Wolves were so bad to watch. I mean, I feel bad for Dylan because just having to basically sit there and bunker down every game had to suck.
I mean, we compare a lot of things on the pod to U.S. sports, and actually you and I probably compare it to baseball analogies all the time, so we're really hitting that new young demographic with this content. Watching Wolves is actually very similar to being a Cleveland baseball fan most of the time because it's just the pitching is great, the defense is great. You're probably not going to give up more than 2 runs, 3 runs, but if you give up 2 runs, you're not going to win.
Right.
Because your offense is not going to score more than 1. I agree with the areas that you're looking to shore up or to insert. I definitely lean more on the offensive side. Go ahead and give me yours first, and then we'll jump into some of the just randomness I think that I chose here.
All right, so I gave you the striker option, the offensive player option. So I really got 2 things. One's a buy, and one is just a keep because I don't know what the fuck Wolves are doing either. The buy, though, the exciting one is Thiago Diallo. He is he's a center back, right back, left back from Lille. He's Portuguese. He's young. He can play all across your back line. He can play right-sided, left-sided, right in the middle. He can probably even do a job out on those wing back positions if he had to. But he's going to solve all your problems. He's going to give you all that depth. He could maybe start. He doesn't even have to start. He could just be another option for you. That's your strength. I think, as I just said, it was boring as hell to watch. That's how you're going to compete and be, somewhat competitive in the Premier League. And then the other one is just you're shopping around Morgan Gibbs-White. Why? Why are you shopping him around? He was at Sheffield United. He had 11 goals and 9 assists. He's 22 years old. He was that almost center attacking mid to forward type of player that just got in the box late or even carried the ball up the field. Like, that's exactly what you guys need. You need somebody who's going to score goals. You need somebody who's going to give you some attacking flair. Maybe isn't your striker. He's not going to be Jimenez or anything like that, but he could definitely partner him. So I don't know why you're trying to shop him around.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head. First things first, no shot that how you pronounce Jajalo's last name is how you say it, because Portuguese is a language from another realm, for sure.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, but I don't get the Morgan Gibbs-White thing at all. Like, I think that I'm looking at this depth chart right now, the guys that you have backing people up in the midfield, he's better than. Like, what are you trying to do?
Well, that's because they're trying to sell him. They're trying to get rid of him. So I don't even think think he's in the plans.
I don't know if I agree with that, dude. The other thing too, and actually let's get to this when we do the predictions. I got a couple of striking options, right? I got one that's probably unrealistic, and then two that might be realistic. One of them I'm just going to throw in there real quick because I've mentioned him 5,000 times. Unrealistic. There's a big man in Italy that is a free agent right now that he at times has been prolific, at times has maybe been not as great, not as consistent yet, but I think that he actually has a body and has skills that can translate to the Premier League. Again, free agent. I don't think you're going to be spending that much money except on the wage. Andrea Bellotti. He's been at Torino forever since he left Palermo. He has 106 Serie A goals, and he's an Italian international. I'm looking at this depth chart, like I said, right before this. I think I can count on one hand how many internationals you have on this team. Mm-hmm. It's usually a good sign when you can get other people who are playing for their country. Is this realistic? No, probably not. Is this something that I think would make Wolves super exciting right now? Yeah. Bring the big guy in. It's a free agent. All right. For the realistic, like I said, I'm predictable, man. I'm super predictable. I'm going to other Premier League teams where guys aren't going to play that much and bringing them in. So obviously, who am I bringing in? I'm bringing in our buddy Armando Broja.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
That's all I'm going to say about that. He needs to come in here. But one that I haven't said that I think would actually be an interesting pickup. I'm not 100% sure if he's going to get time with Chelsea. I think this would be a pretty good fit. He's athletic and he's young. Callum Hudson-Odoi. Why not? I mean, I think he could probably play. And again, we're going to get to this in a second. We mentioned this in another episode. In that middle of the pack, there's a top of the middle of the pack and there's a bottom of the middle of the pack. Are we going to be honest with our friend Dylan?
Oh, I'm going to be honest.
They're in the bottom of the middle of the pack. Like they've stagnated and they've fallen a little bit. I think Callum Hudson-Odoi is a guy that can definitely play for you. One thing I did want to ask, and this is like before we get into the predictions. Why have they not purchased anyone?
You know what? I did not know you were going to ask this. They've gotten Nathan Collins at center back.
Okay.
So maybe they're not even going to go for another center back. Maybe they think that he's just going to be that guy for them. And then obviously they finalized the Huang deal. Dude, I have no idea because it's they're bolstering in a position. And again, I know I just said your big thing is defending, so just get really good at defending, and you're going to be fine. Mm-hmm. And then maybe next year is when you try to make a little bit more of a push. But they really don't. I mean, they have two injuries. Again, if Neto gets hurt again, or Podence gets hurt, or if Jimenez gets hurt especially, they are in trouble because you're going to give up goals. Yeah. It doesn't matter. You're going to give up a certain number of goals.
Phil Cutrone being your backup striker, bring in Bellotti. If you want to upgrade that Italian striker position, bring up Bellotti. I mean, yeah,
it's Patrick Cutrone, by the way.
Patrick
Philly
Cutrone.
Philly.
I didn't know it was possible. Again, another U.S. sports analogy. When I was growing up, June Jones ran that offense at Hawaii, ran that offense in SMU that just put up points. I think these guys, I think Wolves, I think Bruno Lage Ball is the defensive version of a college football system, except instead of putting up points, they just don't give up many. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's one of those things like in the NBA, like good offense beats good defense. Like it just, I think to a degree, like they have a better defense than most of the Premier League's offense, but I think the Premier League as a whole, offensively, the players that are there are getting a lot better, and it's going to be a point where like, whenever I see Van Dijk and Matip or Konate give up a goal, I'm like, man, I'm embarrassed a little bit, but they're going to give up goals. Like you expect them to like never give up a goal, but then they do, obviously, because they're humans and it's a sport, and you're just kind of like, man, what the hell? But you're going to give up goals. It's just going to happen. So you just got to kind of deal with it. And they need to be able to score.
Michael, with all that said, let's not belabor the point anymore. Where do you got Wolves finishing for next year?
I'm sorry to my friend Dylan. They finished 10th this year. At this moment, with very little business that they have done, I see them finishing in a 12 to 14 range.
Yeah. I am kind of right there with you. Actually, I am right
exactly
there with
you. Exactly right there with me.
I'm exactly in the middle with you.
Mm-hmm.
I have them 13th. Dude, they finished 10th this year. I can't see them getting anywhere near top 10. Like, I just can't. I am going to look at like who I have in my top 10, and I just do not think that the talent that they have is anywhere near what they were thinking or what they were hoping. Like, I just don't.
Right.
You know.
All right, question real quick to end it though, potentially. So we had the Lingard to Nottingham Forest.
Mhm.
We all
got in.
We also had that one came through. We also potentially have Damsgaard going to Brentford, which you said would be huge.
That.
Also called that. Who, just off the top of your head, what kind of player do they need to get to stay level or better? Because I don't think Belotti's doing it. I think he helps.
I don't know if there's one player. It's like how we used to joke all the time, you know, the team formerly known as the Cleveland Indians, now the Cleveland Guardians. They're 3 guys away from winning the World Series. Those 3 guys were like Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, and Mark McGwire.
They literally almost won.
I don't think it's I know. I don't think it's that, but I can't, unless you get a goal scorer like that scores goals. That's what they do, and they do it well. That this team's not going to look very different than how it already does. It's like, and I don't think we even really mentioned it. You mentioned Hudson-Odoi. You mentioned Gibbs White, keeping him. It's having someone dynamic in that midfield or having someone dynamic in the front line. That's the only way it stays or that they improve. Because I like the question you asked. Who do I got? I got Villa. I got Palace. I got Brighton. And I have Newcastle. All who finish behind them or right around them. I mean, we're going to talk about Brighton here in a minute. That are better than they are. They just are. At this moment, I think.
I do too. I think if they get João Felix, they're better.
I think that'd be a fun. Yeah. I mean, you can get a guy and be better if they get Bellotti, which is not going to happen. But if they did get Bellotti, they would be better.
Well, they would be better. But I think they'd still be like 11, 12.
Yeah.
I think João Felix gets them 8, 9.
We surely do know that João Felix knows how to also be on a team that does not play offense, though, too.
Exactly.
So
good fit.
So that'd probably be a great fit. All right. Like, subscribe, share. Please subscribe. It'd be great.
Do it.
We've gotten a lot of views. We got a lot of people interacting. Leave us comments. We always try our best to respond to them.
John sends them to me immediately. I read them every time.
Every time. All right. Thanks, everyone.